Hello, welcome. It's Lotus with Art of Sacred Embodiment, and I feel like it's been a little while since I've been on here. It's been busy during this window of the 12/12, right, the full moon, and then coming into Solstice, which is tomorrow. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the winter, which is now we're actually coming into winter with the winter solstice. It's going to be the longest night of the year. And then from there on, the light continues to grow. I want to talk about the spirals and cycles of natural time, and then bring that to tie into the feminine principle. So first, let's just start with the winter time is a darkening time, and I'm sure you all have heard me say that gazillion times, particularly if you work with me privately or do classes. The wintering time is that inward time, and it most exemplifies our sacred feminine principle. The inner feminine, right, or the inner goddess or the dark goddess is referring to the internal expressions of the sacred and divine feminine. And the winter time is that time of really coming within, becoming more still, becoming more grounded, becoming more intuitively heightened. We cannot actually develop our full intuition without those very foundational steps that I usually talk about, which is sacred centering, sacred grounding, and self-love. And there are specific reasons why those two things are imperative to really developing our inner knowing. I'm not going to go into that right at this moment. So when we are doing our healing work, really what we're doing is we are doing our awakening journey. It's all the same thing. And different phases and stages are going to feel more, more amplified with specific developmental expressions, right? When we're doing our healing work, we're working on that clearing, we're working on releasing, we're working on simultaneously remembering the truth of who we are, not the stories and the lies. What we're doing, particularly now as we move into 2025, is we're really working on these next stages of the divine human that we are remembering ourselves to be. And this winter solstice sets us up, really this whole year, if you've been going through it, right, feeling that grist for the mill, the pearl in that shell being refined. I have a whole video on that whole experience. If you've been really feeling that this year, the challenges and the deep dives and sort of that more murky, pain and suffering of your healing journey, it has all been to clean your slate, get a clean slate, and be prepared for this next phase and stage of becoming. And the becoming is really just a remembering. So this winter solstice allows us, if we so choose, right? If we make that choice to create a sacred container of our solstice, and it's beautiful that it's falling on a Saturday. And it's a summer solstice in the southern hemisphere, but we're really just talking about the winter solstice. So if we create a container, if you carve out time for whatever speaks to you from within, Is it about meditation? Is it about writing and journaling? Is it about creating ritual or ceremony for yourself? There are groups, right? It's great to have the group synergy for this. And I would also recommend taking time out for your inner individualization, so you can actually attune to your expression, so you can listen deeper, so you can hear the teachings from within you rather than outside of you. This is a paramount time for that. So the winter calls us in. The winter takes our energy from, if you imagine that we're a tree, right? From the branches and the leaves, and start pulling all of our energy down, 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 down through the trunk, down into the roots. So nature is telling us, take your energy and go within so that you can become rejuvenated, so that you can actually ground and root more deeply, so that you can take everything that's happened over this past year and anchor it deeper into your wisdom. And to me, this is super important through at least February as we come into spring. So it's that time where we can really tap into our deeper nature. Not the reflection of the nature from outside of us, but the deeper nature within us, connecting to the soul and our heart. So this connects us to our sacred feminine vessel, to our sacred feminine aspects. And the sacred feminine wants us to become deeply present, wants us to become deeply embodied in our physicality, wants us to hone our deeper listening, meaning within. And the feminine represents the soul. So coming in and really being able to listen, hear, understand the language of your own inner guidance. All right? So this is what the wintering time, the winter solstice, and the dark time of the year is supporting us in. And, you know, within the Tantric Yoga goddess pantheon, one of the primary dark goddesses of this time is Dhumavate. And Dhumavate is that time of the crone, right? That crone, she's withering away. She's old. She's wrinkled. You know, it doesn't sound appealing, particularly to us in the West, where we sort of, you know, only want to see what's beautiful and young and vibrant and bright. But nature shows us that this is not the only expression of life. And Dhumavate begins to reflect that to us. And her teachings are really about the death process, are really about getting up close, creating that relational intimacy, that feminine presence that has been deeply wizened, right, has walked through the fires of initiation, who carries deep knowing of the perfection of all of life. And she taps us into that deeper mysticism, right? The mystical part of ourselves through taking us within and allowing what is no longer serving us. What is our immaturity? Okay? What is our foolishness? Now, this doesn't mean the innocence that we are. This means the ignorance of youthfulness that is undeveloped yet. So she helps us to let those things die away so that we can begin to work with and refine what is it that we're actually embodying now after this very tumultuous year. What are we going to sit and chew on, like I talked about in one of the past videos? What are we going to allow to transform us from within? And the container for that is retracting, like the tree, retracting our energy deeper inside or deeper down into our roots. Very challenging to do during the holiday season, but the winter lasts longer than the holiday season. The new year, right, January, according to the Gregorian calendar, which is the mechanical calendar of 12 months, that is sort of this like, let's get started again. Let's get everything going. Everything is rebirthing into the new. So we don't really get a pause according to the way we've been conditioned. The natural way of experiencing the new year comes when we move into the spring. So we have these couple months to gestate, if we so choose to take advantage of it and follow natural time rather than the conditioning of the mechanical time or the 3D, construct, the inverted matrix. So this takes us then into our attunement to the cycles, our attunement as we connect more deeply. And if you've been working with me or watching the videos over these past few months, since I really started doing the YouTube channel again, I work with the moons, right? The new moon and the full moon, solstice, equinox, Lion's Gate portals, right? The different activation portals, particularly the end of the year of the 8/8, 9/9, 10/10, 11/11, 12/12. So what this does, when we are actually keeping a cadence of what nature is reflecting to us and staying in that deeper, intimate relationship, then what we start to notice is that we are spiraling through time. We're cycling through time. The initial point of that is sunrise, sunset. Sunrise, sunset. Light and dark. And this is deeply encoded in our biology, in our DNA, our cells, and our mitochondria. So our physiology and our biology wants us, in order to remain vital and healthy and vibrant, we are supported by nature, by these cycles and spirals of time. And we'll have more on that as we move into the new year as well, because the primary focus that I'm going to be working with is deepening everything that's on my website that is about this spiraling relational intimacy with the divine masculine, divine feminine, but the jumping off point for that divinity is the sacred container of the sacred feminine and the sacred masculine. I'm not actually going to be working with the masculine as directly, but it's part and parcel, because that is the sun to the moon, right? That is the day to the night. So they cannot be separated. But the usherer for us, the initiator for us, is the feminine. So, right, so we start to recognize that we get into a natural time rhythm. And this is really important, I believe, if you have your life that is deeply connected into the 3D world. That means if you have like a 9 to 5 job, if you have children and family that are on different schedules, where you are in need of operating within that system, all right, then it becomes very important to, at the very least, follow the moon cycles and create a bit of a practice or ritual at sun up and sundown. And I actually have on my sundial a very simple practice that's called the body weaving that you can do at both times. And it's shorter than another longer practice, so it makes it more accessible. So at the very least, right, if you are wanting to align your life more in a natural flow, that's a great starting point. Then, if you find that you have more time, or you find that your being is starting to be in that loop a little bit more, right? Then you can start attuning more to what the planets are doing. Then you start really touching in at the equinoxes, at the solstices, creating those times inside your own sacred container. And over time with this, and then there's more connection that you can be making with, the procession of all the planets, if you so choose. So there are many layers and layers and layers. And sometimes it just takes, a year or two of doing 1 or 2 of these, getting into this natural rhythm and natural flow. And what this starts to do is deliver us more into a coherent, a coherent field. It starts to work with our physiology and biology, with light and dark and the natural time and natural life rhythms, and we become more open vessels and containers to move energy through. And that strengthens our ability to be in the flow of our life in general. We start to unify more. We start to harmonize. We start to come back into our bodies more deeply every time we spiral back, particularly with the intentionality of that intimacy to create that new experience of becoming more deeply embodied, more deeply connected to the sacredness of all of life through the sacred feminine, which then prepares us to move into our divinity. So there are very specific, flavors, so to speak, of the feminine in both the sacredness and the divine expressions. But we don't just jump into the divinity. Stages and phases. Foundations are laid through our evolutionary process. So for the winter solstice, right, I wish you many blessings. I wish you silence and inner peace. I wish you deep stillness. I wish you inner listening, strengthening the intuition of the soul and the heart, and allowing that to be your guide, and allowing the masculine, the thinking principle, the intellect, to come into harmony and tandem with the deep knowing of the feminine. And there's a reason why it is this way. And we will be doing more of that as we move into the new year. We'll be also moving into understanding why and how our body, right, holds higher intelligence than our intellect. And how that those variety of intelligences are where we're going in our future. It is part of our evolution. So if you need assistance with this deepening, please tune into on my Send Owl. You'll find the link below in the descriptions. Please tune into the Embodied Moments practices on the Send Owl. And you can also find them, the introduction to each frequency in the YouTube library, and I have playlists for them. Also, I'll be doing another of the Oracle readings, right? Taking that sacred pause for Solstice as well to assist you. And really just allow yourself to retract your energy from everything that pulls you out and work with the deeper inner listening so that you can begin to unfold your higher destined path. But we have to choose it. We have to say yes to it. We have to divinely align to that and let go with Dumavate of what keeps us in the old paradigm and say yes then to I'm trying to think who that would be, and it's not coming to me immediately. The light again. But to say yes to the age of Aquarius, right? Say yes to the golden age, the new earth. That consciousness starts within. That's how it's created. Through your consciousness, your frequency, you expand to know it, to live it, regardless of how you are in the 3D realm. Okay? So it uplifts us to the 5th dimension and beyond. So with that, I'm going to sign off and just say many blessings. Thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to having much more time in the new year to go deeper. And most of my work, just a heads up, is going to be focused on working within the teachings of the sacred feminine. And I will be doing that both in private sessions and in some classes. All right? All right. Blessings. Much love.